My name is Karina, and this is my lesson on primate characteristics for my biological anthropology class at Cascadia College. First, I'd like to note that none of the media used in this video is mine or is owned by me, and any further use of the media is not allowed without the consent of the copyright holder. All right, so I'm just going to briefly go over mammal characteristics, because I think it's important that we note that this lesson is about looking at the different characteristics and recognizing that all animals have their characteristics based on what's best suited for their environment, for their diets, for their social, everyday life. So we're just going to briefly go over all of the mammal characteristics. One, they all have mammary glands. They produce milk for their young. They have three bones for the inner ear, one bone for their jaw. They have 4 heart chambers, a diaphragm. Mammals can only replace their teeth once in their lifetime. They have their baby teeth, shed them, and that is it. And those are just a few of the mammal characteristics. So when considering all of those, it's important to note that all those characteristics were given because they help us in our environment. We're all just trying to survive, and we're going to keep the traits that help us survive in terms of a whole species. So now we're going to go into actually looking at different mammals and looking at why they have different traits. So first, we're going to start off with body and fluidity. So let's compare some primates to, for example, a giraffe. So when we look at our body and our body structure and the fluidity of that, primates, just like us, just how we're able to dance and play sports, we can move our bodies gracefully. We can move it languidly. We can turn around our heads really fast if we need to see something. We can move our hands. We have hands as opposed to paws of other animals. We can grab things. We can manipulate them. We have 5 digits. So our body fluidity is a really good way to look at the reflection of how we have to get food as different animals as compared to a giraffe. A giraffe, through the evolutionary process, have necks so that they're able to get the leaves up high. They have no advantage to having a fluid body. All their food, it's up there for them. They grew that characteristic so that they were able to get food. For primates, and us included, it is important for our survival that we are fluid with our body movements, that we're flexible, and we have a generalized limb structure. Thinking about monkeys, the food that they eat, they have to grab the fruits off the trees. They have to grab the bark, the grass. They need hands for that. They need digits that they can manipulate objects. They can use them to swing from trees, to climb up to get the fruits that they need. All right, next we're going to look at our teeth. You can look at in different mammals. Their teeth structure actually says so much about their diets and their way of life. So right now we'll be comparing primates to now lions. I chose lions because they eat mostly meat, and they are hunters. So then they eat their live prey. So their teeth structure is going to be very different to those of primates, who, us humans included, we have a more generalized diet because we have, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, diaphanty, and that helps us have a generalized diet. It means that we have different teeth for different texture or different types of foods that we need to tear to be able to eat. I'm just going to use the example of a gorilla. Gorillas have mostly flat teeth. They do have canines, and that teeth structure is just to help them be able to process and digest fruits and vegetables and the grasses and the barks and everything that they eat. We don't have prey that we're tearing apart, so we don't need to have all sharp teeth. So lastly, we're going to look at the senses. So primates, humans included, we have a reliance on our vision over any other sense, which is different than a lot of animals. So we're going to compare it to that of a wolf, who they rely on a lot of smell to get their food and for their environment. Like I said, when you're capturing live prey, it's a whole different, you're going to have all these different characteristics than if you are not. They use their sense of smell to be able to get the prey so that they can eat, so that they can survive. So the better their sense of smell, the more chance of survival. For primates, the better their vision, the better chance of survival. We have to look at this because there's a lot of food. There can be food scarcity in a lot of primate communities, and that looking for fruits and looking for grass, those don't always have as strong of a scent as a live animal would. So if you're an animal that is eating other live animals, you're going to need to rely on your scent for that. If you are just eating fruits, if you're eating bark, I'm mainly using the example of a gorilla to show that, because that's their main diet, they don't need to be able to smell those things. They need to be able to see them very well. We also have stereoscopic vision, so we have eyes in the front of our head, where a lot of animals, namely cows, horses, like I said earlier, giraffes, their vision, they have eyes that are kind of on the sides of their heads, and that's kind of make up for the fact that they don't have as fluid bodies to move around. So their eyes are making up for that lack by kind of being on their sides. They can see everything. We need to see depth perception really well. And since we do have flexible bodies, we can whip around our heads to see whatever we need to see. But our eyes kind of sit at the front of our heads, leveled to each other. Those are just different ways that we can look at different characteristics to kind of analyze and see why we have these certain characteristics. And I hope in this lesson, based on what species there are, what is actually benefiting them, and asking the question of what does this characteristic really do for the animal? And that can give us a better clue into looking at the classifications and lineage of everything to see where these different traits tapered off to adjust to different environments.